Hello, this is Hervé from Comic Book Bin, filling you in since 2002. This is the Snowjob action figure, the classified exclusive from Hasbro Pulse. Snowjob is a classic G.I. Joe character, of course. He's one of the first of the 1983 characters that appeared in the comic, and of course in the cartoon he appeared in the second episode. This is a deluxe action figure. Hasbro decided to pack as much as they could. It seems that Hasbro's current philosophy for G.I. Joe Classified is to create opportunities to have as many deluxe and higher price figures as possible by packing them with a lot of stuff. To some extent, this is a good strategy for them, but for our wallets, it may not be a good strategy. It may be quite expensive in the end. This is for you to decide how much you can stretch your budget for new figures. Needless to say, Snowjob is one hell of a figure. He's packing so much stuff and he can carry most of it with him. The stuff that he can't carry is obviously the alternate head and hood. Let's look at him in more detail. I admit that I'm a bit disappointed with Snowjob because of stability issues and the fact that the gear, even though there's a lot of it, kind of hinders how you can play with the figure. Nevertheless, the sculpt is very good. It's an attractive figure, but in terms of engineering, there might be ways of making figures such as these easier to play with. So Snowjob has a particular articulation here. It's not an articulation, it's a cut to the sculpt, which means that Hasbro is planning on reusing this forearm here and will put it with another version for another figure. So that's them designing the figure pretty well and making sure that it's reusable. Well, the sculpt is reusable for other figures. The only thing is that this does not rotate, it's just glued on. The arms have the usual 90-degree articulation, swivel, obviously, double pinless elbow articulations, and this one has a side-to-side hand articulation versus this one looks like it's up and down. The stick will not stay very well in his hands. You may want to put them in his fingers instead, as they're very loose, and I thought I could use them to give him more support, but I can't. The problem with Snowjob is that if you try to have him stand on his own with all the gear on him, he is very heavy on the back, and so he will fall like that. The ankles are not loose, but they're not the sturdiest ones either, which means this may be a problem if you're trying to pin him. The skis don't stay well. They tend to fall off easily. You can also remove them easily with the snowshoes instead. The backpack makes the figure very top heavy, so it's easy for the figure to just topple all the time. That's one of the drawbacks of this figure. If you look at the backpack, you can store most of the equipment on it. The snowshoes, the skis right here. I'm often afraid of using it. I don't want to stretch this thing here too much. Probably should have put it the other way so it can go even deeper. That's what she said, right? I don't think I want to use the skis on the figure, but at the same time, I'm also afraid of using them while plugging them here, as the plastic will probably break over time if you take them in and out all the time. And I just found out that you can actually unplug these things. Oh my god. Alright, that's good. You don't have to force the plastic in. You can unplug this and plug it back in. Wow. Yes, classified. You're better design than I expected. Wow. Why didn't I know about this? I like this feature. That's cool. That just resolved a lot of problems for me. I think I can use the skis this way now. I can store them this way without having to force the plastic as I thought that I had to do. That's a good feature. That's good design after all. Engineering and design, not easy. Well, I guess I know who's going to be using their snowshoes more often, and that's a good thing. It's a very good thing. Can you tell that I'm happy? Probably not. I'm very happy with this discovery. It's always fun to discover something like that, just live, as I'm doing the review. Nice. Well, this might help the balance on Snowjob a bit more if the skis are not so up in the air like that. He may be able to stay grounded a bit more. And obviously, yeah, when the skis were up, that's why he was toppling all the time. Let's put the snowshoes on him right now. Now that I'm happy to use them, knowing that he's not going to topple every time I use those snowshoes. They're not the same snowshoes as the Snow Serpent. I'll just remove this because it's easier to put him in. When you do this, be careful not to break your articulation at the ankles. So hold it elsewhere. Don't try to move the articulation because you could break them, and you don't want that. Obviously, you don't want to break these things. They could break if you're not careful. So obviously I insert, just like putting the shoes on a kid, it seems. Kids don't have big holes in their feet. Okay, pressed. Yep. How's the center of balance? Better, not perfect. See, it's like putting shoes on a kid. It takes many tries. This is me getting impatient right now. That is a problem in the sense that if you even touch this thing, it's just gonna flip out. Yep, snowshoes are off again. Well, I don't think he's he's going to be wearing them too often, or maybe they need to be flipped around. He's got drop down hips like every other G.I. Joe figures, but they're hindered with the flap here. Double knee articulation. The plastic on the knees is a bit yellower because they use a different plastic, so you will notice that it's not as clean. But if you want to paint this, you could paint it as dirt here, which would mock the way he would look in real life, as he would be on his knees when he's in the snow taking aim at an opponent. So this part would be a bit dirtier in real life anyway. Not a perfect figure because of all the stability issues and parts that can come off easily. I take this off whenever I want to switch the head. You'll notice that the goggles don't stay put exactly. That's because you have to put them in, and as you put the hood on the figure's head, they tend to slide down a bit in the back, so they're not exactly flush. They could be flusher than that, but it's a bit difficult. So obviously, to remove the hood, it's probably better that you remove the head entirely. Again, always afraid of doing this. I'm afraid of breaking these figures. Okay, good. Hood is off. So this is how it looks when it's really flush. There's a different head. So this is Snow Job for you. It's a good figure. I like it. But there's a lot of problem with the joints. Too loose. It's a bit difficult to keep the backpack on. It's very top heavy. The two heads, they're good. I like those. The hood could be a bit easier to put on. But obviously, Snow Job looks impeccable next to the Snow Serpents, his natural enemies. And you can see we're still having stability problem with him, but it's a beautiful figure. Expensive though. Like and subscribe. This is Hervé from Comic Book Bin, filling you in since 2002.